£300 to £3.19.
When you hear Chanel, what you think of is a classy, glamorous, high-end brand. And you'd be right, with high-end fashion, cosmetics, and fragrances, not to mention celebrities like Jennifer Lopez, Beyoncé, and the Kardashian sisters among its clientele. Chanel has taken over the world with its luxury products. The story of Chanel is not your average rags to riches story. It all started with an orphan girl attending a Christian school run by nuns who went on to start one of the biggest brands in history. Coco Chanel is no doubt one of the most influential figures in fashion history. An enigmatic French fashion designer and founder of Chanel, she was the first to see that style can be classic and casual. Famous for her star clothing invention, little black dresses, and breaking away from the corseted silhouette style of dressing, her extraordinary fashion career wasn't just limited to clothing. She also excelled in fragrance, handbags, and jewelry. Throughout a career that spanned more than 50 years, the legendary icon created timeless pieces, won numerous awards, and contributed to the fashion industry in ways that still resonate across generations. Part 1. Humble Beginnings. Born Gabrielle Bonheur Chanel in August 1883 in Semur, France, Coco Chanel's early life was anything but glamorous. At age 12, she watched her mother die from tuberculosis, and as she was coping with the grief, her father, who worked as a peddler, shipped her off to an orphanage because he couldn't afford to raise her and her 4 siblings. So there she was, motherless and abandoned by her father, all before the age of 15. As an orphan in the custody of the Sisters of the Sacred Heart in Abyssine, she was taught how to sew by strict women who only dressed in plain white and black clothes. It was a tough start to life, yet ironically, it was the first step towards her career in fashion. After she left the orphanage, she had a short career as a singer and performed with the stage name Coco, a shortened version of coquette, the French word for darling. Part 2. Rise of an Empire. The Mother Superior at Notre Dame found Coco a job as a seamstress and shop assistant in a draper's store, selling clothes for the high class. She lived alone above the store and took a weekend job at a tailor's, mending military officers' uniforms. It was here that she met English military officer Captain Arthur Capel. Capel, who came from a wealthy family that owned coal mines in England, was intrigued by young Chanel, and it wasn't long before the two began courting. Coco already had skills as a seamstress, so Capel offered to open a shop for her in Paris. In 1910, Chanel Modes, Chanel's first fashion store, opened at 21 Rue Cambon. At first, she focused on selling hats, but the business soon grew and added luxurious garments manufactured from silky soft materials like tricot and jersey to her collection. Part 3. Her first big success. Her first taste of success came from a dress she made out of an old jersey on a chilly day. As she walked around, a lot of people asked where she got the dress, and she offered to make one for them. Later in life, Coco Chanel claimed that her entire fortune is built on that old jersey dress. "My fortune is built on that old jersey that I'd put on because it was cold in Deauville," she told author Paul Morand. Chanel was intrigued by casual men's clothing and took many ideas from Capel's wardrobe. Her classic, elegant, simple styles were a huge hit with the Parisian locals. The First World War made women more willing to try simpler clothes, and Coco's dresses were the perfect experiment. Business boomed, and the Chanel brand took off. In 1913, Coco opened a second Chanel boutique in Deauville, and then another in Biarritz, all funded by Capel. Unfortunately, Capel died in a car accident in 1919. It shook Coco, but it wasn't enough to stop her determined rise to the fashion throne of Paris. She continued to grow in popularity, designed costumes for Ballet Russe and plays, and counted celebrities like Pablo Picasso among her friends. The clothing line had taken off in such a short time, and it was now time for Chanel to conquer the new frontier. Part 4. A household name. Dresses may have made Coco Chanel a force to reckon with in the fashion industry, but her perfume cemented her place as one of the greatest fashion icons of all time. Chanel was the first major fashion designer to introduce her own fragrance, and she did it all in style. The perfume, named Chanel No. 5, was the first perfume to carry its designer's name. It came in a beautiful, simple, and sleek bottle and was immensely popular among women. At the time of the release, Chanel signed a deal with Wertheimer Brothers for the production of the perfume for a 70% share of all profits. Théophile Bader, owner of the Paris department store Galeries Lafayette, where the perfume would be sold, would take 20%, while Chanel herself only earned 10% on all sales. The deal would prove to be a grave mistake. Although she tried unsuccessfully to renegotiate a deal as Chanel No. 5 became increasingly popular, Chanel didn't make a lot of money off the iconic fragrance. The 10% proved enough to keep her afloat until her other businesses achieved the same success. By the 1930s, Chanel had become a household name in the fashion industry, designing clothes for royals and owning 5 boutiques that employed more than 4,000 workers worldwide. But then, disaster struck. World War II began. The Great Depression was already lurking in the background, causing many businesses to suffer, but it was the start of the war that ruined it all for Chanel. The company was forced to shut down its stores and lay off all its employees. Part 5. Stepping down from the industry. Chanel's personal life took a nosedive too, after she was accused of being a Nazi spy during the German occupation of France. During the war, Chanel was dating Hans Gunther von Dinklage, a Nazi officer. Because of this relationship, she was allowed to stay in her apartment at the Hotel Ritz in Paris, which also doubled as German military headquarters. After the war ended, however, Chanel was questioned by the French government over her relationship with von Dinklage. Although she was not officially charged, many people saw her relationship with a Nazi officer as a betrayal of her country. Coco Chanel soon moved to Switzerland, away from the fashion world. Everybody understood this as her final step away from the fashion industry. Part 6. Her triumphant return. After being away from the fashion world for more than a decade, Coco Chanel decided to make a comeback into the fashion world in 1954. She was 71 years old at the time, and critics were stepping over themselves for a chance to criticize her designs, but Coco won the world over again. Staying true to her simple and classy look of the 20s, with a few more veteran innovations, Coco Chanel gave the world a new look. She came up with Chanel suits, bell-bottomed pants, among other brilliant inventions. She had designed bags before, but the bag she created in 1955 took the world by storm. The veteran had always been about comfort, so it wasn't shocking that the idea behind her bag was a longer strap that allowed women to do other things while carrying their bags. The classic flat bag was born. The bag was an instant success, revamping her popularity and shaping the fashion industry for years to come. Decades later, this bag is still one of the most iconic fashion items in the world. The conclusion. In January 1971, Chanel died at her apartment in the Hotel Ritz at the ripe age of 88. Karl Lagerfeld took over the company a decade later to continue the Chanel legacy. Today, the company started by an orphan continues to thrive, generating tens of billions each year.